Hello, fellow problem solver. Have you ever, installed some software, set something up, and then deleted all your installers and your instructions and all that stuff, cleared out your downloads folder, just wanted to save some space, only realized 2 days later that you something wrong and you need all those files again, and they're going to take, like an hour to download, 2 hours to download. I have. And I have also fixed this issue using Borg, the open source automatic file backup system. And I thought I might share it with you so that you also don't end up throwing away the instructions that you will then need later. I think of it like throwing away the box from the mac and cheese, only to retrieve it from the trash. Only there is no trash because you always use, rm-rf, and that's just how you are. You think, I never need this thing again, but you do. You do need it again. So, this, how you save future you. This is the software. It's free, open source. It has tons of cool features, most of which I will not be using today, but I might get into in a later video. Really well developed documentation. It is up on GitHub, so if you have issues, you can put them there, or you can even contribute to existing issues if you're a Python developer. And all of those things are really big things I look for when picking software to solve problems. So, installers, keep them in your downloads folder for ideally a while, but not always. And so, you need a backup of your downloads folder. First, you need to create a folder for storing your backups. For my purposes, this will be BKP. I always think of that as backup for some reason. Then you need to install BorgBackup. As you notice, I'm on Ubuntu 18, but actually Borg will work almost anywhere. It works on all major operating systems since it's Python, and should be pretty easy to switch around and set this same exact thing up anywhere else. Then we'll run the borg init command. I set the encryption flag here to none. And all this does is create a place for Borg to store backups in our backup folder. Then we will need to open up cron. Since we want this backup to be something that happens relatively often, we'll use cron because that's Linux's standard timing function. And this is the command we will be putting in. This sets it up so that every day at noon, Borg runs create in the backup folder of a repository called downloads / and then the date. And it'll be pulling only the system downloads folder. Now normally it's set up to run at noon, but for now I'm actually going to change it to the top of the next minute. Bear with me here, so that you can see what it looks like live. And let me go ahead and just follow my syslog looking for that cron job. If you're not familiar with this, this is the tail command with a follow flag, and that'll basically pipe the output of syslog directly to my terminal. I added a filter with grep for the cron job. There it is right there. One interesting thing of note, you may notice that when I was typing out the command on the cron tab, there were backslashes before these percentage signs. Those are very important. For some reason, cron tab requires you to escape any percentage signs that you put inside things like the date command. One of those things you don't know until you mess it up, but now you know. Borg list will list all the backups in a repository. We only have one, and it's the new one we just created with our cron job. Downloads folder today. Now, the only thing that matters with a backup folder at the end of the day is that you can properly extract those backed up files when you need them. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a test extraction directory, and I'm going to go down into it. I'm going to go ahead and extract that backup right here into this test folder. Now, I need to add my, my date stamp, sorry. Oh, it's already the 5th. Alrighty. There we go, that'll just take a second. Now, you'll notice too that you have to specify the system path of the directory that you backed up. I believe the reason Borg requires this is because Borg is often used for restoring backups in remote systems or on servers, and that system path can be critically important information. In our case, though, you just make sure that you specify it here. It doesn't make that big of a difference. So now we need the exact size of our downloads folder. I'm using the du command, a couple flags here, but essentially we know that it is 907 megabytes. Now our extraction, also 907 megabytes, and that's perfect. So we have daily backups running. We know that they work. I would suggest before you do anything production with this type of software that you would go line by line through some backups and make sure there's no corruption in the files. However, for my purposes, this demonstration, the exact same size is good enough. I can assure you that the backups work. I've used them several times now. The next thing about backups is, hard drive space is a limited resource, and you can't just infinitely create backups. Thankfully, Borg has something built in. It's called prune. That helps a ton with that. And this is my prune timing command that I use. So I run it every day at 1 p.m. And I say, keep any backups that are within the last 7 days. Now, prune has some complicated timing patterns that you can use. For me, a simple week is more than sufficient most of the time. But this is very important to remember because you don't want to just keep writing backups to your hard drive and then run out of space. So you want to make sure that that is installed when you've got an automated backup system. Hopefully this helps you. I know it's helped me, and it's a really interesting piece of software to learn. I'm excited to start experimenting with setting up Borg backups of remote servers and encryption and authenticated backups, all that stuff. But for now, keeping it simple, this is how you set up an automated Borg backup. Thanks for watching.